Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, May 14th. I'm headed to my quadplex in Ybor to do a video walkthrough for a buyer. Now, I said in the video yesterday we did go pending, so we are under contract, but we are accepting backup offers. And there was an agent who lives in Sarasota who had requested a showing, but canceled after the fact. And called me and said, "Hey, she can't make it. Am I able to come to Ybor, to the property, and do a video walkthrough?" I said, I'd be happy to do that, but I'm not an uninterested party because I'm the listing agent. I mean, I want to make sure that I do a good job for your client because I want them interested. But, I don't want any issues saying, "Hey, you didn't show us this, you didn't show us that." You as the buyer's agent, they're going to trust your video more than mine. She said, no, they just want to see a few things about the property. The pictures are very descriptive, they just want to see some details. I said, I don't mind going, love to help. However, we are going pending today. We received a cash offer that we're very comfortable with. And she, to her credit, said, "Well, could you hold off on it because we're really interested in the property?" I said, no, we're not going to hold off on it. However, we are accepting backup offers. But I can give you the broad outlines of the offer, so that if you want to make an offer, you're not going to make one that's below. If you're willing to make an offer for this property, it's got to be above this number, these terms, because these are the terms and the numbers that my client has accepted. Well, these are close. I didn't give them the actual numbers. But if you want to be competitive, you got to be better at this point because we've accepted a cash offer. And it's willing to close within 3 weeks. So, if you can beat those terms, great. I'm happy to do this for you anyway. And she said, "Fine, please. Yeah, we really appreciate it." She had a family thing come up last minute. So I definitely want to go do this, video virtual showing. To practice. I've not done a virtual showing before for any of my clients. So it'd be kind of interesting to get the skill set to do that. But also, I'm about meeting other agents, especially in other markets. So Sarasota is about an hour and some change from where I live, and I've prospected in that area, but it is technically farther than I would prefer to drive. And if I can make good relationships with agents, at this price point here in Tampa, or in Sarasota, then at least I can develop, a relationship as a referral relationship going forward, and providing value up front, willing to drive to my property. She has no idea where I live, so she doesn't know I'm driving an hour to go to Ybor. But doing this for her, because she had a family challenge last minute, showing, that I'm a man of my word, I'm an agent of my word, and I can get a sense of who she is, how she appreciates that, and if they do come up with an offer. Like, we have a very short inspection period on this property because the buyer is very interested in it. But I gave them those parameters, and after I do this walkthrough, this virtual tour of all the units, if they like it, great. If they put a higher offer, that's great for my clients. I'm not gonna lie, that's great for me. But if they don't, and she appreciates the effort, I can find out more about her and how she does in her market. And when I, get a listing, let's say in Sarasota or in the area around Sarasota, I don't have to worry about driving 2 hours if she ends up being a really good agent, a really good person to work with. Because I'd much rather get 30 to 40% of a deal and not have to think about it because someone else is managing it, than 100% of a deal that is a headache to deal with and to service. Because I really want to do well by my clients. I want to develop a reputation for doing well by my clients. But at 2.5 hours or 90 minutes, where Sarasota is, that's gonna interfere with my life and my other clients. So I don't want that. So I'm trying to think long term about this. I'm trying to think about, the summer, the fall, the winter, and developing relationships with agents, in adjoining markets to mine. So we're headed to Tampa. We're going to do a virtual showing on a property currently under contract and listed as such. One, to hopefully entice a much better offer, but in the alternative, develop rapport and relationships with other agents so that when I do get these listings, in those areas, I might have a partner I can send it off to and just, focus on the core business that I'm trying to do here in the Tampa Bay area. All right. Enjoy talking to you. Dallas and Phoenix are both sleeping in the back. All right. Have a good one. Talk to you later.